What's up, everybody? Good morning and a happy Monday to all of you. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. A big thanks for tuning in however you're tuning in. If you're on those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, stream it up at sportstalk1051.com. Got your smart device, smart speakers. Download the app, take it on the go. Video streams are also up and rolling on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, X/Twitter. Hopefully, all had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week here. What do we got on the game plan for us this morning? Well, Merry Christmas, football fans, because today is the day that quote unquote legal negotiations can occur between teams and impending free agents and such. Although yesterday was pretty much like a Christmas Eve because, well, maybe some people open up gifts and such on Christmas Eve, and that was kind of like that last night with a boatload of moves and trades that will become official later on. Now, a reminder: some free agent signings can happen, like players who were released. They're free to sign with anybody. Players who are scheduled to be free agents in a couple days from now their agents can negotiate with teams later on today. So that's different. In case, again, just a reminder, you're wondering, well, why could Devontae Adams sign with the Rams yesterday, but so-and-so can't sign with somebody? Because Devontae was released. So just giving you a little bit of backstory there. But yeah, Devontae going to the Rams. He's not coming back to Green Bay. DK Metcalf, he's not coming to Green Bay either. Seahawks reportedly going to be trading him to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a second-round pick, and then the Steelers signing him to a massive 5-year, 150. That's $150, $150 million. So he gets his $30 million per year that he was looking for. That's going to be with the Steelers, who we don't know who's going to be the quarterback for the Steelers yet. Could be Fields, could be Rodgers, could be Sam Darnold. Who knows? But we know DK is going to Pittsburgh and not to Green Bay. I mean, you had over the weekend just kind of a flurry of moves. Geno Smith. I mean, Seattle's really just kind of like tearing this thing down and starting all over. Geno Smith traded to the Raiders. So, I mean, that one was going on too. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Then Josh Allen, I mean, in a day that you had a bunch of reported moves and such, he signs a massive extension with the Buffalo Bills. It was just crazy. $330 million for Josh Allen, or a record 6 years. So if you're like, well, Patrick Mahomes had 500, you got to look at the years per year and such. So, but today is probably going to be another busy day because, again, it's those impending free agents. Even though they won't officially become a free agent until Wednesday, their agents can now, air quotes, legally talk to teams, even though we know they already are. They just don't want to say it out loud. So, what will the Packers do? Will the Packers do anything? Or will you get nothing and you will like it? Packers fans, you won't like it. So I've got coming up here, though. So, I mean, DK Metcalf, I mean, we were wishing for him. Oh, and plus Myles Garrett, too. He's staying in Cleveland. He signed a massive deal. So anybody open that Green Bay could pull the trigger and come up with a trade package for Myles Garrett? Nope, that ain't happening because money talks. For all of him saying, I want out, I want to compete for championships, blah. Got a big pay raise. He's like, yeah, I'll stay. I'm good now. I'm good. So, yeah. Edge rushers and wide receivers, two areas that Green Bay needs some upgrades in, or maybe some more depth in. Hey, they're getting paid right now, and maybe you can kind of see why Green Bay's like, hey, yeah, we ain't willing to do all that. But I've got 5. So 5 under the radar free agents. We could term them under the radar. We could term them maybe not popular names like the DKs, even though he wasn't a free agent, but a Target or a Devontae, Milton Williams, guys and players that we have talked about for a month plus as potential free agent acquisitions or trade acquisitions for the Packers. So we know the popular names, the big names out there, but I've got five guys that could potentially be targets for the Packers that won't cost as much. So guys that maybe we'll find out today or in the next couple of days that Green Bay's signing one of these guys, and I'm sure there'll be a collective who or who's that? Never heard of the guy. Tell me a little bit more about him. Well, I'm going to give you 5 names. So when, or I should say, if Green Bay does sign any of these guys, you could be like, oh, yeah, I heard about that the other morning. Heard about that guy the other morning. So 5 guys, 5 kind of under the radar or maybe not as popular names. Not saying that these are going to be guys, going to Green Bay and such, but I wouldn't be surprised if these are some of the names that maybe we do hear Green Bay is reportedly going to give free agent contracts to. So that's coming up here in just a little bit. Lots of free agency talk and your reactions to Green Bay not able or not getting DK and not getting Devontae after the news of those 2 guys. There were reports from Packers reporters that the Packers never had a conversation about DK Metcalf. That was according to Matt Schneidman. Jason Wilde, who covers the Packers as well, said that the Packers never had any contact with Devontae Adams before he signed with the Rams, even though Devontae was open to rejoining the Packers. Apparently, reportedly, there was no contact, but again, we kind of heard a lot that Devontae maybe wanted to go back to the West Coast and finish up his career with a contending team. And, we had mentioned the Rams as a possibility, especially them moving on from Cooper Kupp. And, well, lo and behold, Devontae is with the Rams. So, but your reaction, your thoughts on maybe some of your wish list players not coming over to your green and gold team, let us know. Hit me up with a text, 715-830-1912, or you can comment on the video stream. So plenty of football talk coming at you. We do have some hoops talk as well. The Bucks, well, they can't beat the Cavs. They lost again, 112-100. This is a Bucks team that has not won a single game against the Cavs this year, has not beaten the Celtics, and has not beaten the Knicks, the teams that are ahead of them in the standings, in the Eastern Conference standings. Bucks can't beat them. Can't do it. And this was a game last night, too, where they held, Cleveland players. Nobody got over 20 points in this game. Max Struss led the team for the Cavs with 17 points. Mitchell had 15. Was just 4 of 15 from the field, including 1 of 7 from 3. Darius Garland was just 1 of 8 from 3. But outside of Giannis and Dame, production was kind of lacking for the Bucks last night. Giannis, 30 points, 9 rebounds. Dame, 22 points. Kyle Kuzma added 14. And then Ryan Rollins played 3 minutes yesterday or last night and had 10 points. But that was it. Not a lot of other production. And I think it was pretty evident if you were either listening or watching the game, this is a team that cannot go through stretches on the court where there is no Dame or Giannis on there. That is a completely different team and is not a good team whatsoever. Speaking of losses, Badger basketball with an absolutely ugly loss to Penn State on Senior Day on Saturday. Penn State outscoring Wisconsin in the second half, 51-35, 86-75 overall victory for Penn State. So not a good way for Wisconsin to head into the conference tournament and into some postseason play. They end up, not getting the double bye in the Big Ten Conference. So they're the 5th seed, waiting to see if they're going to either play Minnesota or Northwestern. And if Wisconsin wins that game, they will take on the 4th-seeded UCLA. So we'll see how this team bounces back from this. But it was definitely, especially in the second half, just brutally cold brutally cold from the field shooting wise. It was, yeah, not the way you want to go out. Badgers overall shot just 32% from three. Penn State, give them credit, they were on fire from three. 57.9% from three. Badgers overall just shot 36.2% from the field. So it's time. We're getting close. Selection Sunday is now officially less than a week away. Conference tournament time for the Badgers and Marquette. Marquette's also a fifth seed in the Big East. They lost to St. John's, although they gave St. John's all they could do over the weekend too, but falling just a little bit short against St. John's. So now we're in the conference play for these two teams as we inch closer and closer to the NCAA tournament. This time next week, we'll be talking about the brackets. So we got that. We'll do some local sports roundup. We know some of the prep high school girls basketball teams that'll be going to state. Eau Claire Memorial falling just a bit short, falling in double overtime. But we still have some representation. Rice Lake's going in Division 2. Elk Mound is going in Division 3. Durand, Arkansas is going in Division 4. Division 5, Owen Withy is going. So congrats to those teams. We've got in college hoops, UW Stout women's team advancing to the Sweet 16. Hockey, Blue Gold men's team beating River Falls to secure the WIAC Conference tournament, which means they get an automatic berth into the national tournament. So we'll find out later today who they will be taking on. So we'll do some local sports roundup coming at you a little bit later on this morning. It is also a Monday morning, which means I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Fill in the blanks. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. Best ones, I'll mention on the air. So there's your game plan for us this morning. Let's jump right into it, shall we? Because I know y'all want to talk some football with free agency just hours away from all the reports and sources say so-and-so has agreed with this team and such. But your reaction from some of the news that has already been out there with DK going to the Steelers, he ain't coming to Green Bay. Devontae, no reunion there. No Myles Garrett trade. How you feeling, Packers fans? How you feeling? Let me know, okay? And then my 5 under the radar, maybe not that popular free agents that I wouldn't be surprised if that's the direction Green Bay goes. Okay, I'm going to hit that up coming up here too. We got football chat to open up things. Lead off coming up in just a few minutes. Looking for fresh, affordable, and convenient? Hey, you'll find it all at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. From fresh produce to top quality meats and everything else in between, they make shopping simple. Need a quick dinner solution? Well, check out their delicious grab and go meals. Hosting a get together, their bakery and deli have got you covered. Plus, with weekly deals and friendly service, there's always more to love. And don't forget about their fuel savers that help you save some money at the gas pump. Shop smart. Shop Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. All right. Just saw Schefter say, now Aaron Rodgers is in play for Pittsburgh, to which I will respond by saying, duh. I don't think that's too surprising or anything out there. So we'll see if that actually happens. But yeah. What does it say here? Free agent Justin Fields has been talking with Steelers, but needs to understand more about the Jet situation and offer that can't come until afternoon today. Puh, like he doesn't know. So the Steelers and Jets with Fields, mulling options, and Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson waiting in the wings. All right, let's get things going here this morning. So before I get to my top 5 free agent names that are kind of maybe under the radar or not the most popular names out there that Packers fans have been talking about. Just some quick thoughts on the DK and Devontae moves, with Devontae going to the Rams for a 2-year deal and DK getting traded to the Steelers for a second-round pick and getting a massive contract, 5 years, $150 million. I think the person that's probably the most happy about that is, outside of DK, is probably a guy like T. Higgins. I mean, Jamar Chase we knew was going to get paid, but T. Higgins has probably got to be smiling a little bit right now. So, given those numbers, first off with DK, given those numbers that it was a 5-year, $150 million deal, I'm not surprised Green Bay didn't pull the trigger. You know, I know Matt Schneidman, who covers the Packers for The Athletic, said there was no conversations and such, and maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. I don't know. But when I see a 5-year, $150 million deal, I'm not surprised Green Bay wasn't even in play for that. I'm not. Would they have traded a second-round pick if the deal would have been cheaper? I don't know if they would have done that either, to be honest. But the value that kind, and we'll see the actual breakdowns. But if we just do like the per year, I mean, a lot of it could be a 2-year deal and then get out after 3 sort of thing. We'll see how it's structured. But just from face value of it, I'm not surprised Green Bay is like, yeah, no thanks. I honestly feel like if Green Bay had no receiving options, like they were just depleted in that thing, and let's say a guy like, and this is not a knock on him, but just to gotta give it a reference point, let's say like Dontavian Wicks is coming in as the number 1 wideout, then maybe things change. But I honestly feel like I still feel like Green Bay is looking for a veteran wide receiver to pair with this group. But maybe for a lot of us, you know, when we see names like DK and Devontae, we got a little excited about the possibility and such. But I think they're still high on their youngsters, and they're not really going to go in and throw a bunch of money at a wide receiver. Now watch, they'll probably sign Chris Godwin and change that whole narrative. But I honestly almost feel like they're going to go maybe for a little bit of a tier 2 veteran type of receiver. That's not necessarily going to be a number 1, but a guy that's going to come in. He's going to get a ton of playing time. He's going to provide some veteran leadership, but also he's going to be able to make some plays on the field. And in that turn, makes the others on this squad in that receiving group kind of up their game as well, improve from within sort of thing. So I'm not surprised when the terms of DK's contract came out, just the basic 5-year, $150 million. When that came out, I'm not surprised Green Bay wasn't in play. That was like, yeah, I would have been shocked if Green Bay signed a wide receiver for that amount of money. I would have been like, whoa. All right. Interesting. Devontae's contract, was that something, you know, a 2-year deal, $46 million, 26 of it though just guaranteed. That one, I mean, that one sounds like that could be a 1 year and then we'll see sort of thing. That would have been one that I could see Green Bay doing, potentially doing. That one, I don't think the terms of that contract were necessarily out of Green Bay's wheelhouse. I think a lot of it was probably Devontae wanted to go to the West Coast, wanted to go back to the West Coast and finish up his career over there, but also play for a contender. It's a very similar style of offense that he's familiar with Matt LaFleur going over to Sean McVay and such. So I think it checked a lot of boxes for Devontae. And again, like Jason Wilde reported, maybe Green Bay never approached Devontae, even though Devontae might have been open. I think it was probably, it checked a lot of boxes for Devontae. West Coast, got his money and got to go to a contender. So I don't think the money would have been an issue for Green Bay signing a guy like Devontae. I would have had no issue with that, given a contract like that to Devontae. Part of me wonders, let's say Green Bay gave the same exact deal to Devontae as the Rams did. I still feel like Devontae might have taken the Rams deal because it checked more boxes off for him, maybe what he was looking for personally at this point in time. So I'm not surprised that Green Bay was not able to land either one of those wide receivers. I know there's Packers fans that are upset, they're down, they're disappointed that none of those guys are coming to Green Bay. I get it, I understand it, but when you look at everything, I don't think we should be too surprised that they're not coming. Now, going back to, I still feel like Green Bay is going to bring in a wide receiver. Still feel like they're going to try to bring in a veteran. Now, I think if they somehow land Chris Godwin, I think you're going to have an excited fan base. You're going to have an excited Packers fan base. I don't know what his value is going to be. When you're looking at some of these, he's coming off of an injury and such. So does that factor into it? But you look at his history and you look at his performance. I mean, he's been pretty darn consistent, right? Right up there. Still feel like Tampa Bay's in play. I mean, they've done a good job of kind of taking care of their own in that, but maybe they'll surprise us. But I've got five names. I'm going with this route. We've thrown out a bunch of popular free agent names out there, like, oh, I hope Green Bay gets that guy, or I hope they target that guy, or that would be a great fit for Green Bay. Well, I'm going to give you 5 names that might not break the bank in free agency, or maybe a couple of these guys will, and you're probably like, I've never heard of that guy, or I don't know a whole lot about that guy. And it wouldn't be, to me, it wouldn't be shocking if these are the guys that Green Bay maybe tries to sign or bring in. So 5, whether you want to call it under the radar or wild card or names that are just not popular. 5 players that I wouldn't be surprised if these, not saying it's all 5, but if Green Bay's free agent signing this week, today or this week, if their first free agents come from this group of 5, I wouldn't be surprised if it's these guys. I'll start off with one name that we did kind of mention a little bit last week, and still probably is a little bit unfamiliar. But I'd still probably put him under the radar because I feel like there's probably like a lot of unknown and unfamiliarity with him. I know I keep saying I want to say Dale, but it's Dial Odangbo. Dio Odangbo from the Colts. Okay. Defensive end, 6'6, 286. You look at what he's brought to the table. Again, I know we mentioned him a little bit, so maybe he's not that far under the radar. But compared to the other guys, defensive ends and defensive linemen out there, he doesn't have the name power that a lot of these guys have. But Dio, I mean, he hasn't missed a game in 3 years. And we talk about availability, health. And when Goody has gone out in free agency and has signed guys, you can look at a lot of his guys that he has signed and be like, oh, there's a theme. They're on the field. They've been healthy. They haven't missed a ton of time. That's been a theme. Preston Smith, Xavier, those guys. It's been a theme. And I mean, when you say this guy hasn't missed a game in 3 years, all right, that's got to perk up the ears of Goody. And you look at last year, 50 quarterback pressures last season, 4 years with the Colts. And last year he just had 3 sacks, but in 2023 he had 8. 2022 he had 5 sacks. This could be a guy that, and last year finally became the full-time starter. Even in 2023 when he had 8 sacks, he was only credited with 1 start. But don't be surprised if this is a guy that's going to get a decent contract too. A very, 4-year, 5-year deal, and he's going to get paid. And I know he doesn't have a name like a Josh Sweat or Reddick or any of those other defensive ends or pass rushers out there. But don't be surprised if you hear this guy's name and you're like, I don't know who that is. Because he's kind of in free agency, and we know Green Bay does this. They pay for where the trends, not necessarily what they've done, but what they project them to do. And there's a lot of people that project this kid to be, okay, once, going into another team and such, that arrow is trending upward, that maybe his best years are still to come. So not completely under the radar, but doesn't have the name power as a lot of these other pass rushers or edge rushers or defensive linemen that we have heard all offseason. That's a name I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay targets. Other names, I'll start with this one. You've probably heard about this guy over the years. He's a wide receiver, but again, you haven't heard his name mentioned a whole lot in terms of with DK, with Devontae, even with Amari Cooper or Chris Godwin. And I was surprised to see that this guy's still only 28 because he feels like he's been around the league for a while. Well, he's actually played 6 years already. And that's Darius Slayton. Okay, so Darius Slayton, when you look at, it feels like the Giants for the last couple of years have just tried to get rid of Darius Slayton for whatever reason. They've benched him. They've put him on the bottom of the depth chart. And the guy's just kind of Mr. Consistent. He's consistently healthy. He's always played double-digit games. 16 last year, 17 the year prior, 16 year before that. He won't break the bank. He's not going to cost you DK Metcalf money. He's he's not a number 1 per se. He's not going to come in and I don't think going to be your number 1 wide receiver. But I think there's a lot of people that want to see him paired up with a really good offense for once. And a good quarterback and some consistent play. He hasn't gone over 1,000 yards. Last year, 573, 770, 724. The 1 year he only played 13 games. He only started 5 of those, 2021, 339, 751, 740. Kind of Mr. Consistent. Even though the Giants have tried their darndest for whatever reasons to kind of keep him at the bottom of the depth chart and not get him on the field. And he's always kind of just risen, ultimately always been the best receiver for the Giants outside of last year with Malik Neighbors. And now he's in the free agent market. This is a guy I wouldn't be surprised to see if Green Bay kind of kicks the tires. Okay, it's a veteran receiver. He's not going to cost a whole lot. Consistent production. We put him in the mix with a Jaden Reed, with a Dontavian Wicks, a Romeo Dobbs, and whenever Christian Watson comes back. It seems like something Green Bay would do. It seems like a fit that Green Bay would do. A couple years, maybe he wants to go to a really good offense, ball out. Maybe it's a 1-year deal and be like, I want to show that I can actually ball out with a team that believes me or a team that has some offense. He does that and then tries to cash in the next year. Again, he's only 28 years old. So those are probably the 2 names that you have heard about the most. The next 3, maybe you haven't heard a whole lot about. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if they were going to be free agent signings for the Packers. We'll start off with another defensive end. Malcolm Kuntz from the Raiders. Now, this is a guy, he was drafted in the third round of the 2021 NFL draft. He missed all of last season. Now I will say, I'll start with this by saying a couple of these guys, the thing that gives me a little bit of pause, because what we were just saying with Dio was he hasn't missed a game. The next two guys I'm about to talk about have missed time because of injuries. So that gives me a little bit of pause whether Green Bay would actually be interested in these guys or not, because it doesn't necessarily gel with what Goody has done in his stint as general manager. But I wouldn't be totally surprised if Green Bay kind of maybe these guys too, 1-year deals, prove it type of deals, then they go win the next year and try to increase their value. But Malcolm Koonce, defensive end from the Raiders, missed all of last season with a torn ACL, tore his ACL just right before week 1. Before that, though, if we go to 2023, he had 8 sacks in 2023. Before that, 2022, he had no sacks, but he played all 17 games, didn't start any of those games in 2022. 2023 was his breakout year, 17 games played, 11 of those started, 8 sacks. This could be the typical 1-year type of deal, 1 year, going to go in there, coming off of an ACL, going to go in there and prove that I'm good, that I'm healthy. I'm going to cash in for next year. He'll be 27 this year. He's 26 right now, but he'll be 27 in June. Still young. But this just seems like if Green Bay doesn't want to invest a ton of money, because I know there's been some talk about, well, Green Bay's got all this money invested in Rashawn Gary, first-round picks, and Van Ness and Wyatt, and money invested in Kenny Clark. How much will they invest on the defensive front? Maybe this is a way for Green Bay to do that. Hey, we'll take a flyer on Malcolm Koonce 1 year, and hopefully he outplays that contract. Wouldn't be surprised. The only thing that gives me a little bit of pause is he is coming off an ACL injury, and will Green Bay kind of shy away from that? I think they might shy away from it if Koonce is looking for a long-term deal. If it's a 1-year deal, though, I don't know if they would shy away from that necessarily. Then I'm gonna go corner for this one. I'm gonna go Paulson Adebo from the Saints. He's got your prototypical size, nice size, 6'1", $190, $195 in between there. Former third-round pick in the 2021 NFL draft. Played 7 games last year before he broke his fibula. Now, there's been a lot of talk. This is another guy that could maybe say, I want a 1-year deal, prove it deal, and go back in the free agent market next year where he could cash in on a long-term deal. But when we saw this guy, he's got a ton of starting experience already, 51 starts. 51 starts. 7 of them came last year. His rookie year started every single game, 17. Played in 13 in 2022, 15 in 2023. He has shown a lot of upside and promise as an outside corner. He's gotten a ton of time over there. He probably would have made a ton of cash for this offseason if he would have been able to be healthy in 2024, and especially after the Saints, moved on from Lattimore and that, and consistently would have lined up against the number ones. He probably, if he would have been healthy, you'd be talking about him as maybe a top free agent target. But this one, again, it's all about the health. It's all about the health. If Green Bay's comfortable with it, or if he's looking for a 1-year deal, I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay does that. If it's a long-term deal, maybe it's a little bit more, we'll see. They just got done they've dealt with 2 corners that have been injured and banged up, and it's how it's affected their play, Jair and Eric Stokes, right? So maybe Green Bay's a little gun-shy from trying to bring another corner that's coming back from a lower leg injury. That's the only thing that pauses me on this potential move here. But you take away that, this is a kid that's got a ton of playing experience in his 4 seasons. He's already got 10 interceptions. He's proven to be a starting caliber corner in this league. But if it's a 1-year deal, you kick the tires on it. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay decides to do that. And then finally, my fifth option or fifth player, excuse me, that I'm going to go on here. Tershawn Wharton, defensive tackle, defensive end, defensive lineman from the Kansas City Chiefs. He's been in the league for 5 years. Became a full-time starter this past season for the Chiefs. But again, this is a guy, for the most part, I mean, over 5 years has played 72 games, 16 in 2020, 17 in 2021, just 5 in 2022, but 17 and 17 the last 2 years. And this past season, 6.5 sacks for Wharton. Also, you factor in his 6.5 sacks, 11 quarterback hits, and 35 pressures. My only question mark is with him, and this has been a Chiefs defense that has been pretty dang good the last couple of years, right? And not to take away anything from him, but my question would be is he a product of playing next to Chris Jones? I mean, Chris Jones is a beast. Chris Jones is an absolute monster on the defensive line. And we know if you're an opposing offensive line and you're gearing up for somebody, you're preparing for somebody, who you're preparing for, it's Chris Jones. Was Wharton a product, some of his success from playing next to Chris Jones? Possibly, maybe. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if this is an option for Green Bay. And again, maybe a cheaper option compared to some of the other defensive linemen, defensive ends, or defensive tackles that potentially he's going to be cheaper than Milton Williams. And we talked about Milton Williams. One of the things about him has been, well, is he a product of playing next to Carter and Davis? But he's by far probably the top defensive lineman on the market right now. And he earned a lot of that money from what he did in the postseason. Well, Wharton got to be a first-time starter this past season, and got 6.5 sacks with it. 11 quarterback hits and 35 pressures. Don't be surprised, though, if this is, again, kind of a maybe 2-3 year deal, but cheaper option compared to some of the other defensive linemen, defensive ends out there. So those are just 5 players, kind of under the radar players, or players that don't have the name appeal or the popular names like some of the top free agents out there that we've been talking about for weeks leading up to today, leading up to this day. These are some guys that aren't getting the big talks out there, or aren't probably going to be the highest paid in their positions. But maybe that plays into the hands of a team like the Packers, who don't want to, give out these huge contracts, or make somebody the highest paid player at their certain position, or trying to be smart with their money, not just trying to add one person, but trying to add a couple different pieces. These guys, I would not be surprised if they ended up being targets for the Packers or potential signings for the Packers. Just throwing some names out there in case we find out that, oh, that's who Green Bay signed. Who in HE double hockey six is that? Never heard of the guy. Well, maybe you know a little bit now. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll finish up the first hour. Plenty more football talk coming up. We've got hoops talk. We got a local sports roundup, all that good stuff. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Thinking about new floors? Well, you can make your vision a reality at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether it's soft, luxurious carpets or tiles or luxury vinyl planks, they've got the perfect style for every space. Their huge selection, unbeatable prices, and expert installation make upgrading your home simple. Not sure where to start? Hey, that's no problem because their flooring specialists are there to help every step of the way. Their entire team will work with you from step one to the finish line, helping you find the perfect floor for your home and budget. And don't forget, if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere, Carpet City Flooring Center will match or beat the competition. Stop dreaming and start designing. Visit Carpet City Flooring Center today and step into something beautiful. All right. Got about 7 minutes to the top. JC and EC, Justice Cleveland, sports director for WEAU 13 News, will be joining us coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. I know it's been a busy time for him and his staff with all the local sports going on. Got girls basketball state coming up at the back end of this week. Boys, we'll find out who's going to state after this week. Thursday and Saturday games. We've got Blue Gold men's hockey punching their ticket to the national tournament after winning the WIAC championship. UW Stout girls basketball advancing to the Sweet 16. We've got NCAA championships in track and field and wrestling coming up. I mean, this past weekend, too, we had Blue Gold softball sweeping St. Norbert's over at the Sonntag. So 10-0, blanking them. 10-0, 8-0. So a lot of stuff happening around in our neck of the woods here. So we'll do some local sports roundup brought to you by our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center with Justice Cleveland coming up in the next hour. Also, we'll talk some hoops. We've got the Big Ten Conference Tournament starting this week, and Badgers not able to get a double bye, getting that top 4 seed after dropping their last game of the regular season at the Kohl Center against Penn State. Not a good way to end the regular season. Hopefully, this team can bounce back and maybe make a nice little run here. And I think the bigger picture for a lot of us is like, okay, let's make a deep run when it comes to the big tournament, right? That's what we want to see. So, but your standings, you've got Michigan State, Maryland is in the top 4. We've got let me bring up the bracket here. Well, then you had the Michigan States and Michigan debacle, little tensions escalating at the end of that game. Michigan, a couple guys standing at half court. Michigan State kind of took offense because it goes against their tradition of kissing the logo for the final game. I don't know if it was just, they didn't know about whatever, but it escalated and emotions got the better of them and such. So, but here's your bracket. You got Michigan State at number 1, Maryland at 2, Michigan 3, UCLA 4, Wisconsin's the 5, Purdue's a 6, Illinois is a 7, Oregon's the 8, Indiana is at number 9. So Wisconsin will play the winner of the Northwestern and Minnesota game. Indiana plays Oregon. Illinois plays the winner of Iowa, Ohio State, and then Purdue plays the winner of Rutgers and USC. And if Wisconsin wins their game against either Northwestern or Minnesota, they then would play UCLA in a 5-4 matchup. Marquette, they also fell to St. John's over the weekend. They are the 5 seed in the Big East tournament, but we already know who they're going to play here. Looking at that, they've got Xavier coming up on Thursday. So, speaking of going back to Badger hoops, but on the women's side, they're going to be looking for a new head coach as their head coach resigned from her position. We'll talk more about that with RJ Cardinal coming up when we talk all things Badgers and such. But that also came down the news wire yesterday. So Bucks, they can't beat the Cavs again. They fell last night 112-100. And I think this is the thing that makes the Bucks have been playing well as of late. I mean, heading into that game, they were 7-2 since the All-Star break. But they can't beat the teams that are ahead of them in the Eastern Conference standings. They're winless against the Cavs, winless against the Celtics, and winless against the Knicks. And this is what's going to give people pause about them actually being contenders in the Eastern Conference. Why is it that they can't beat any of these teams? You got Giannis, you got Dame. Heading into that game last night, they were actually the fourth best defensive rating team in the Eastern Conference, 9th overall. But you look at last night's game, Cavs, just deeper. No player went over 20 points for the Cavs, but they had like 6 dudes over double-digit scoring. Bucks-wise, it was Giannis and Dame again, and not a lot after that. Kuzma had 14, but not a lot of production after that. Who else is going to step up and help out this Bucks team? This is where maybe a guy like Bobby Portis, when he comes back, can help out in something like this. Possibly. But it's got to be more than just those two. And if you're either listening to the game or watching it and such, I mean, it was evident. You can't. And I get it. You know, you're just entering the final quarter of the regular season. You got to make sure these guys are healthy for the postseason. But when it comes to the postseason, you absolutely cannot have stretches in a game where Giannis and Dame are not on that court. I mean, there was times where both of them weren't on that court, and it was just a cluster. You know what? It wasn't good. It was some ugly basketball. One of those guys at least has to be on the court. And this is now a stretch. Last night began a stretch of a very difficult schedule coming up for the Bucks. Now, sounds like when they play the Lakers coming up on Thursday, LeBron's not going to be playing in that game. But still, it's going to be a tough one. You got Pacers coming up tomorrow, Lakers, Pacers again, the Thunder, the Warriors, the Lakers, Kings, throw in the Suns, the Nuggets, and then the Knicks. That is a tough schedule that leads right up to the end of the month here. And it'll be the last time, too, when they play the Knicks on the 28th, the last time that the Bucks can get a shot at beating somebody that's ahead of them in the standings, those top 3 teams. Whether they can do it or not, that's a big question out there. All right. Coming up next, after the top of the hour news, we'll talk to JC. We'll do some local sports roundup. We'll get back to some more football talk with legal negotiation period beginning for these NFL free agents. We'll keep you posted if any news happens to drop in the next couple of hours and such. So we'll keep you posted. But right now, fairly quiet. But get ready for a very, very, very busy day. A lot of sources say, rumors, and reports. One in, we got 2 more to go. Again, we got some news updates. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Second hour kicking off right now. Happy Monday, everybody. Get out and enjoy the weather later on today. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Maybe some driving ranges potentially going to open up too. Maybe that's where our guy Justice Cleveland. Why do I keep saying justice as in like justice is served? I don't know. I'm emphasizing the C. I don't know.
You can
why.
say whatever.
Okay.
Trust me. As long as it starts with the J, I'm good because I've been called it my whole life. I get Jason. I used to get Jason a lot.
I used to get called David. Even I remember this one time, 5th grade, end of the year awards program, and it was my own teacher presenting honor rolls. And she goes, David Kasper. And I'm like, I don't think there's another one.
Right, yeah.
And she's like, well, I didn't know if there was another one. I'm like, but okay. So yeah, for whatever reason, that was like the most popular one when I was a kid was David.
Yeah. I get Justin always,
Yeah.
which is, I can understand completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jason would be one that would just kind of fly out there too.
Yeah.
But I don't think people want to believe my name's Justice. So they usually throw something else out there.
When you were a kid, did people say justice is served?
Oh yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
I also ran on that on 6th grade. Just moved to Green Bay. I was like, oh, I'll run for student council, which not a great idea. Middle school. And I ran on because that's when Sid Justice, also known as Sid Vicious from WCW.
Yep.
Yeah, Psycho
nice.
Sid. He was at that point he was a face. This is going in some terms for wrestling here. Brandon's out there listening, he knows.
Yep.
But yeah, he was a good guy, and his if you mess with Justice or with Sid, justice will be served. So then I ran with that.
That's awesome.
I did not win.
Yeah, I tried doing that 1 year too. I don't know why. It was like because they had this thing like nobody had signed up to run, and I'm like, okay, I'll do what's treasurer?
Yeah.
And what was my worst subject in school? Math. I still lost. So I was like, yeah, somebody apparently signed up and they won. So I was like, that's fine by me.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I was like, because I just moved there. So I thought maybe that would be a way to get to know people. I don't know. It was middle school is a rough time. And to not to psychoanalyze my whole life, but to go from a school that had like 50 to like 100 total people to go to Lombardi Middle School in Green Bay. Where the school has more people than the town you were from.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Quite the experience for a 6th grader to go through there. So hope no one else has to ever go through that.
I think mine was purely trying to do something with the college resume, but it wouldn't have mattered either way for me. So, well, good morning, sir.
Good morning. The therapy part is over.
Yep.
Now
exactly.
on the sports therapy.
Don with a quick comment. Come on, Don. I think Don. Packers will be fighting to stay out of last place in their own division. Come on, Don. I think Don was also. Weren't you the one that said they need to upgrade quarterback play in free agency? Come on.
We don't need
to be negative.
Was he all in on getting DK or Devontae?
Or Myles Garrett? Trading for Myles Garrett and all that. But
we shouldn't be surprised because this isn't the way that, that's not the way the Packers have really ever rolled.
The 150.
TJ Lockett, did he get
Tyler Lockett?
TJ Lockett. Who's TJ Lockett?
TJ Lang.
I don't know. Maybe Tyler.
TJ Huzmanzada.
Maybe his middle name's James. Wouldn't that be great if it is TJ Lockett? I just pulled it out of the
Now I gotta look it up. I'm looking it up now. What's Tyler Lockett's middle name? Oh, Tyler Darren Lockett.
TD Lockett. Wow. How
is he outran with that?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
come on.
I mean, a veteran presence would be good. I missed if he signed. Did he sign anywhere?
No. Amari Cooper's out. I mean, if you're straight up looking for a veteran, there's some guys out there.
I almost feel like they're not going to go. They wouldn't go with a big name.
I don't either. I'll admit, like, I got intrigued, excited about the possibility of a DK and such, but I feel like they're not going to go with a big name.
Right.
At this point.
Then salary that gets wrapped up in that.
Yeah. That's why when DK's $150 million came up, I'm like, I'm not surprised Green Bay was.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and he probably didn't even, from what all accounts, wants to play somewhere, as you said, like somewhere warm.
Oh, Pittsburgh's not warm.
No, good point. Yeah. So apparently not Green Bay.
Not Green Bay. Yeah. So
that's what code word for right there.
Just anywhere but Green Bay.
But I think Lockett would be a guy that I'd be more intrigued. He gives you that veteran presence, but he's not going to probably outshine those guys who are already there, so they can still get their chance to be to grab the old brass ring and become that number one.
I threw a name out there that I feel like he's been around a long time, longer than he has, but he's been 6 years. Darius Slade, a
Yeah.
veteran guy. Giants have always tried to like bench him and like, no, he's not. But then he's just kind of consistent. He's been healthy. And again, he's only 28 years old yet. Guy that's not going to be a number one, but maybe goes in as a veteran as such, you know. So I know now everybody, I think a lot of Packers fans have moved on to like, okay, let's get Chris Godwin, which is probably going to be a lot of money too.
Yeah.
But
I like that position because I think like Lockett, he's kind of that guy can be that if he needs to be in a game, the number one guy, but also is that just possession receiver.
Yeah.
That's that safety blanket that you can have out there. And we saw that with Godwin for most of his career, obviously with Evans on the other side. You're kind of being outshadowed, but I think that would be one too. But yeah, his reputation's pretty good out there as a receiver too. And he's also coming off. Is he still coming off injury? Or was that 2 years ago?
Okay. Yep. Still coming off.
Everything kind of bleeds into one season.
Yeah, he had the ACL, then he had the ankle injury. I mean, just kind of bad luck there. And that's where you look at Goody's history. I mean, since 2018, his free agent signings, a common theme has always been guys who have been healthy and available.
Yeah.
Like Xavier, Preston Smith, I think when they signed him, he never missed a game. I mean, it's just that's kind of, hey, Zadarius got released yesterday if he wants to. I'm just kidding.
I don't think he wants to come back.
I think I think if you asked him who he wants to go to, it's probably the Bears now.
Yeah, just to get the whole thing,
and that way he can like play against Green Bay and then Minnesota and Detroit because he holds chips on his shoulder for everything. So
yeah, that stock has dropped, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, but
it was a fun player when they had him. But yeah, I get that you got to have something to kind of motivate you a little bit. But
yeah. So today I don't know what your thoughts, but today the legal negotiation period will officially begin in a few hours, which like it hasn't already. I still feel like in the next couple of days though, maybe I'm just, putting too much into it. I feel like Green Bay is going to sign somebody or a couple players.
I think so.
I really do. I feel like that.
They have the money now to play with compared to obviously the last couple of years. So I would think you'd go out there and try to shore up things. I mean, if you want a veteran pass rusher, there's plenty out there. And you don't have to go for Bosa as the big name.
Right.
But there's other guys out there that if you wanted to throw somebody into the mix, go out there and get somebody.
Yep.
And obviously, you're looking at wide receiver. I think they need a new quarterback. Just kidding. Just kidding. Now
there's some guy named Aaron Rodgers that's available out there. So
you're seeing the little intrigue about what's going to happen with the Vikings.
And Schefter said this morning, which is I responded to that Steelers now are potentially in play, and I'm like, okay, is that the Steelers in play or is that the Rodgers wanting to go to the Steelers? I think he wants.
He wants to go to a winner.
And now that they get DK, it's like, oh yeah, I'll go there. So,
did everything the Steelers just all out on the quarterback situation?
So Justin Fields apparently wants to see what the Jets have to offer, which I still kind of chuckled because I'm like, what the Jets are going to offer you.
Right.
You don't have to wait. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it was over the weekend, like the Vikings were kind of a dark horse now for Rodgers because it sounds like Darnold isn't going to go back. He's going to go to Seattle. But now if you're Sam Darnold, do you want to go to Seattle after they're trading away everybody? And it's like,
they traded Geno. Okay.
Now
they only traded DK.
So it's like, maybe not. I don't know. But
maybe he'll get more money to have to sit indoor. What's probably coming up. I mean, they weren't a horrible team last year.
No.
But there's definitely sellers in the offseason here. I think they probably felt like they invested too much in Geno.
Yeah.
But good for Geno. I mean, Geno earned that money the way he played the year before. So
and think about how his career started, too. The fact that he kind of got a second chance and ran with it.
Yeah.
Kudos to him. And he goes back to pair up with Pete Carroll.
And I think, that could work.
I
mean, that Raiders team is going to be a full new look team.
It's still weird to say Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll on the same staff.
Yeah. I don't understand. Yeah,
Tom Brady's the owner, part owner. So.
I mean, it's the Raiders, so they always find a way to have a storyline. From Al Davis would probably be proud of the way this is all playing out for him. So
exactly. So yeah, it's kind of a weird quarterback carousel that I'm really curious. Like, where does Darnold go? Does Darnold try to put himself in a good position again, or does he cash in?
Yeah,
obviously the Rodgers thing. And then it's like Fields and Russell Wilson, and I don't know.
It's no
Daniel Jones is a big name out there, so
I thought Rodgers and the Raiders kind of, there was the talk.
Max Crosby said he wanted him and that, but I kind of thought would that be one too? But what does that say when they're like rather trade a 3rd round pick and get Geno?
I think his reputation way is kind of tarnished. Of after just kind of having to deal, because you got to deal with the McAfee stuff.
Yeah.
And that was one of the Jets from all reading, that they wanted him to stop doing that. So, I mean, it's weird that the guy is one of the all-time greats, but there's a little bit of tarnish right now on more or less, not the on-field, because the on-field, you could say it was what it was last year, but that also wasn't a great team.
Right.
But teams just don't want to take the risk. And he's 42 years old. And
and he can't guarantee you if he's going to play more than 1 year.
Right.
So I mean, whoever he goes to, they better have another option, whether they're molding somebody or
that's where Minnesota would actually probably fit. It'd just be the most full circle irony if he ends up in Minnesota, and it's like exactly Brett Favre's.
Yep.
You just trade
Although Hudson would be quick to remind a lot of people, Rodgers never played for Atlanta.
That's what I was going to say. Can you get a quick trade over there? And so I mean, that would be just the
that's the other one with Atlanta. They're going to hold on to Kirk Cousins. It's like, this is a weird quarterback offseason.
Yeah.
I just, gosh,
what is Kirk Cousins going to do? Just be a veteran backup? I mean,
getting like $40 million a year to be a veteran backup.
How do they wait for the draft and see if anybody's willing to trade something that day? And that's a guy I think could still start.
Because you're looking at Cleveland too, like, Deshaun's not playing this year. And it's weird. It's a weird. And maybe, it's that whole, okay, before the season starts, is there an injury? A la the Sam Darnold year.
Right. And that's where I think like Rodgers should almost wait in the wings, like Roger Clemens used to do.
Yeah.
His final years. It's like, well, who wants me? The Astros or the
Yankees? Yep.
Who's going to pay me to come and pitch for the second half of the season and pitch home games only and all that, whatever it was. So I feel like he's in that case, it might be better for him to wait and see. But then if you're that team, do you want him not in training camp?
That's what everybody's going to say. It's like, oh, he's got to invest. And I'm surprised he still wants to play. I can't see him with the Giants. I never
saw him playing this long.
Yeah.
Because just the way he used to talk in the first 10 years of his career is like, okay, I want to play, but this wasn't my biggest thing in my life. But now it just seems like he's just doing it for spite almost in a way, because of all the way things went down in Green Bay and COVID and everything. Like he's almost doing it just because he wants to show people.
And it's like the Giants, like he'd be willing to play a year with the Giants, who I don't think we're all expecting to go to the postseason. Yes, he's got Malik Neighbors to throw to there, but I mean, for crying out loud, they've got a lot of issues over there.
Yeah, you have a coach that's basically on his last leg if they don't find a way to win this year. So they're going to be a desperate team, and I almost feel like that's what the Jets were. A desperate team throwing stuff at the wall, hoping it stuck, and it did not. Granted, you can't count on him playing 3 snaps.
I never would have thought we would have got to the point where we're like, hey, is Rodgers going to finish his career with a team that might win 4 games?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Because there's no one in California that needs a quarterback.
No.
San Francisco that would just also be more ironic. The team that passed him up in the draft, he ends up finishing as like a backup to Brock Purdy. That doesn't.
Well, Seattle, I read that Seattle's going to talk to Rodgers too about, and I know there's the John Schneider.
That would be, the connection right there. That.
But again, how does Aaron view that as a situation? Like, okay, that's a team that could contend. I don't think after trading DK,
you know what? He could fly out to his house on after Sunday night games, we get back in the building on Tuesday.
Playing the Pacific Northwest, there's got to be a lot of darkness retreats up in the
Oh,
woods up
that
there,
would be perfect for. I mean, that's
right?
it's just gonna be weird to see how this, and it's just crazy we're still talking about this, and
Mhm.
but that's the cycle,
Mhm.
the NFL cycle that never ends. So they create things like the tampering period, that the legal they know.
Oh yeah.
They know that you can keep it in
Mhm.
everybody's mouth,
Yep.
and that we're talking about it, and we're a month from the draft.
Yep, exactly. All right, tell you what, let's take a quick break, and we're going to do a little local sports roundup because it is a busy time for people like our guy Justice Cleveland, and we've got state girls basketball. We'll find out who makes state for boys basketball coming up this weekend. Blue Gold's men's hockey team winning the WIAC tournament
Mhm.
and punching a ticket to the national tournament. UW Stout girls advancing to the Sweet 16 for basketball. And then of course softball, they're off to a hot start.
Yeah.
Blanking St. Norbert in a doubleheader too. So lots to catch up on. Let's do that. It's coming up after these few words. Approaching the bottom of the hour here. Let's do a little local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. And it's that time of year. It's the madness of March. We've got girls basketball wrapping up this week with the state tournament over in Green Bay. And then the boys, we'll find out who makes state after this weekend, as they got some teams just a couple games left and such. Let's start off with girls basketball, though. And one team that just fell a little bit short from going to states, Eau Claire Memorial, double overtime loss to Appleton East. Had shots, had chances down there, but I know they're probably not a lot of those players and probably, parents and such still probably feeling down. But I mean, a terrific season nonetheless for Eau Claire Memorial.
Just an outstanding season. And Appleton East is a team that they'd played earlier in the year and lost in an overtime game too. So yeah, I think they came back from a double-digit deficit in the second half to have Palmier hit that three-pointer and force overtime, and then in overtime had their chances, really did. And credit to Appleton East, they hit some clutch free throws as well to force the double overtime, and then you get a shot to tie it at the end, and it just doesn't go in. But that team, one of the deepest teams I've ever seen, fun team to watch, and they'll have their chances to get back here the next couple seasons. A lot of young talent. I mean, Nora Kling's just a freshman, and Hoytum. I mean, I don't want to forget anybody because that team is so loaded, and there's going to be a lot. But you're going to miss the seniors that are leaving. Ashlyn Schroeder, Raina Welsh, and I think Marley Ferguson is the other one. So if I'm forgetting anybody, I apologize. But yeah, I mean, that team was one of the deepest teams I've seen, and so close for them. And obviously you say it's got to be heartbreaking, but they got to hold their head high too. I mean, it was just an outstanding regular season. You win the Big Rivers Championship and do it in undefeated fashion. Yeah, that's something that doesn't happen. So congratulations to them on a great year.
Absolutely. We still got a lot of local representation heading over to Green Bay for state, though. Rice Lakes in Division II. They're going to be playing Edgewood in their first game. Elk Mound is going to be a top seed in Division III. They're going to play Xavier, Division IV, Durand, Arkansas, who defeated McDonald Central. And then Division V, we got Owen Withy. That's going to be taking on Assumption.
Yeah, I think, you start with that D2, Rice Lake and Shepley. They, lost in the sectional finals, I believe, last year. And then they beat Lakeland, the team that beat them in the sectional semifinals to get to this point, and then took down Shawano. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to have their hands full. Edgewood is a just uber talented team, 27-1 on the year. Wow. But Rice Lake, again, we always talk about this in almost every sport. Yeah. They play the Big River schedule. So they're playing a D1 schedule for most of the year. And then, you go down to Division II. So that, it's that steel sharpens steel kind of mentality there. So, yeah, I could see them going there and Addison Schmidt as well. As they have that top two there. They could do some damage. I mean, it's going to be neat for the state to get the showcase of Shepley and get to see, this uber talented player that's going, I don't know why uber's my word today, but who's, being recruited by every school in the nation, basically. So she's gonna get a chance to show off there in the state tournament.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then, just down 29, we've got Owen Witch. I mean, still lots of local Elk Mound, who's been there hasn't been there, over 30 years?
Yeah, 1988 was the last year that they went there. And that team, between them and Durand, Arkansas, you get the Dunn St. Croix representing there with two teams there. Elk Mound, the defense that both of them play is just amazing. So that to me will be a big key for both these teams. I think, you're going to have to get your baskets. Everybody can play defense that's at this level. But the suffocating defense that you'll see at times from Elk Mound and Durand, Arkansas, that's going to be their key once they get over there.
Boys wise, we still have quite a few teams still alive as well. Eau Claire Memorial, Division I. They played Marshfield earlier this year too, didn't they?
It was one of their last regular season games, and Marshfield kind of took it to them. And that was coming off of I think they played 3 or 4 games that week. So I think it was Jesperson had broke the record for scoring the game night before, and then they had to travel to Marshfield the next day. So, but no, excuses. They have film on them, which is always big. So you know what to expect. But yeah, that's kind of always in the back of your mind. That's a team that beat you earlier in the year, so you get that revenge factor. But you also know they know some of your weaknesses too.
Right. And then in Division II, we got a game tonight. It looks like New Richmond's taking on Rylander.
Yeah, that's still a remainder I don't know what ended up happening. Maybe Rhinelander was something was going on with their gymnasium, but that got moved to Monday. So
yeah, and that winner will face number 1 Wausau East. Otherwise, Division 2, you're kind of looking at it's a lot of lacrosse teams, Alaska and West Salem on the bottom end.
I'm going to shout out to New Richmond. Ryan Lease used to work around here in the day and then became a teacher and stuff like that. He used to work at QOW, actually, Ryan Lease. So one of my fellow sports guys out there, congrats to him for getting that upset win that they got over River Falls in like a 2-point game there. So
absolutely. And, so Elk Mountain boys, they're top seed in Division 3 as well, and they're moving on to face Berlin, who upset number 2 Bloomer.
It's not Berlin. It's Berlin.
Berlin. Did I say
Come
Berlin?
on.
Not Germany.
Probably at one point it was Berlin, but then they changed it during 1 or 2. WWE 1 or 2, it became Berlin.
But they upset Bloomer over the weekend, so they will be playing Elk Mountain, who's a top seed.
That 6th seed so far in these tournaments has been the one that seems like it's getting all the upsets, because that was Eau Claire Emmanuel making their run.
That's
and
right.
The girls' side was a 6th seed as well, and I believe Von Alaska Luther that just beat Regis and the boys on Saturday. They're a 6th seed as well, so it seems to be the hot spot to be if you're getting the upsets.
Well, Appleton East too, right? Against in the girls' side, so they were a 6th seed.
Yeah.
So man. And then in Division 4, Ladysmith, they move on. They upset Clear Lake, who was a top seed. They're going to face Cumberland, who's the 2 seed. So, as you mentioned, Luther, who defeated Regis, will be taking on Aquinas in Division 4.
That Ladysmith Cumberland with Gores playing for Cumberland, who's going to Wyoming and got like 6'7", 6'8", and can jump out of the gym. Those two I think have met already a couple times this year, and that should be a good matchup there.
And then in Division 5, we got Turtle Lake taking on Spring Valley, and then Rib Lake and Prentice. That just geography-wise, that fits perfectly right over there between those two.
For a lot of them that don't fit, the fact that Berlin got put on this side of the bracket and had, maybe those bus rides must be pretty good for them. That must be getting the team together. But like that, some of those just do work out perfectly. And, Turtle Lake's been flying under the radar the whole year. They're going to, we'll see what they're going to test their mettle against the Spring Valley team that's done St. Croix co-champs or champs this year. So that'll be a really good matchup.
And then we have also in Division 5, Cochrane Fountain City is going to be taking on Columbus Catholic. That should be a good one. Top 2 seeds in there too. So that's the boys side. So kind of wrapping up with basketball.
It's crazy. Next week will be the end of the basketball season. We'll have this weekend with state basketball. I mean, past weekend we saw Chippewa Falls and Rice Lake win the team titles in gymnastics. So first time for both of them winning team titles. So congratulations to both those programs. And I mean, it's a crazy time of year. And then, college wise, a blue gold. I don't want to say a miracle on ice, but man, I mean, that's a team that was, I think self-admittedly was one of the most inconsistent teams during the regular season. But a credit to Matt Lowen, because he got that team. I think he knew it was there. They were right on the edge of being able to get, because they played some tough teams, and they had some big losses, but they also had these really great games against tough teams that they might not have been able to pull out. But at the right time, you make the ride some hot goalie play, get the right goals, and now you're in the NCAA tournament. First time since 2013 that they'll be playing, because 2020 they made it, which was a great team. And that one would have made a really good run until COVID shut down everything. So I mean, 2013 was a good year. National champions. Which is crazy. That's been 12 years, but who knows? That's what you really love about hockey. I think we really saw that during even the high school playoffs is you don't know. You get a hot goalie and get the goals at the right time, and that's the basics of hockey. But I feel like any sport there is that where you can almost, if things work right in that record, might be an ugly record regular season. You get in playoffs and do it right, and we've seen it in the NHL. We've seen it at all levels. So congrats to the Blue Golds.
And we'll find out later this morning who they play with the selection that'll be announced, or brackets will be announced later this morning. So
to quote Shorzy, set the tone, boys. Shorzy. Set the tone.
Thank you. Well done, Shorzy. Nice pull.
Thank you. That's been my winter binge watch this whole year. So
Nice. Now you got to do it in the accent next time, if you can.
I don't know. I don't want to insult our Canadian friends. Tensions are high between our two countries.
True,
I don't want to be the reason.
So yeah, we got that, and then shout out UW Stout women's basketball going to the Sweet 16
I
as
don't
well.
want to
So
forget them at all. I mean, another Sweet 16 run.
Yep.
Hannah Iverson getting that team. Again, another team that was second in the conference, but had some inconsistent play down the stretch of the regular season, and then you get in the conference tournament, and 5 teams from WIC make it to the tournament, and you don't know what to expect. It's a veteran team, but they hadn't been playing their best basketball. But when's the best time to play your best basketball? When you're in a national tournament. And we saw 2 really good performances by them to win their regional, and now moving on to the Sweet 16. So you're right there within striking distance. So congrats to them.
Yep.
I mean, I want to point out, it's just the senior leadership on that team is insane. Geeson, Much, Reagan Sorensen, who has like this craziest engine. She's wearing the knee pads. When you're wearing the knee pads, that person is willing to just dive into the scrum and do anything. So it's been a really fun team to watch, and I hope they can keep it going here this weekend.
Let me bring it up, or unless you know off the top of your head, do you know who they play this weekend? I got it right here. So they're going to Scranton, PA. Whitewater.
Exactly. And see, so that put that how you want to be. It's like, okay, familiar opponent, but a team that they know they can beat.
Yep. Yeah.
So they got. I think the confidence will be there. It's never going to be overconfidence when you play a Whitewater squad. But
right. Oh, look at that. So yeah, that'll be a good one. That'll be a good one.
It's funny that it's in Scranton.
Yep. PA to play a conference
rival, but that's kind of how it all works out.
Oh yeah. Also, I mean, we've got, I know we got WIAC championships for gymnastics too. By the way, Blue Gold finished 6th, but we've got national championships for indoor track and field coming up this weekend. Wrestling coming up as well. And then
swimming's been going on.
Yep. The baseball game was postponed, which, I mean, we saw the weather, so not quite there.
When I saw that on the schedule, I'm like, well, I mean, kudos to being very optimistic that you're going to be able to play a game.
Kind of got close, depending on
they would have been the next weekend. They might have been able to play at least on Saturday this week.
Yeah. But shout out to softball too, because they got to play indoors at the Sonotech Center and blanked St. Norbert 8-0, 10-0 in a doubleheader. They're off to a fantastic start this season.
And that to me is one of the biggest things about having the Sonotech Center is you're going to be able to play your games.
Yeah.
And that was, I was here where there was like basically 2 seasons wiped out that they didn't even play a home game. This is back when they were at Galine. Like the weather was so bad that they didn't get to it. So now you're going to be able to play.
Yep.
And I think it helps not even them. I'm sure if if we were to have like these freak snowstorms and stuff like that, you can open it up to other teams to get conference games played. So I think that makes it great. And then the fact that you can go in there and play those games and, get that experience and get those wins like the Blue Golds did this past weekend.
Yeah. So 8-2 to start their season already.
They haven't even made their Florida swing yet.
I know, right? Yeah. And they got the spring break next week with their tournaments and that. So yeah, they're off. Fantastic start.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Leslie Huntington, year in, year out.
Hall of Fame for a reason, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then, I know lacrosse, they're playing in Sonotech too. They just fell to a ranked Colorado College, but that was their first loss, 3-1 to begin the season too. So, but yeah, spring sports. And then Chip's going to be able to go outside for his outdoor track and field.
Yes, indeed. Get some. I mean, they probably already are running a lot of the distance people, I'm sure, outside. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun time of year. It is an immensely crazy time of year. The last couple of days, I been putting the hours in, and it's fun to see those teams when they hoist that championship trophy or get that chance to go play for a championship. So it's been fun watching that, and got a couple more weeks here to go.
I know they don't begin until the beginning of April coming up here, but just because you and I are both lovers of golf, I'm really excited to see this Blue Gold men's team.
Yeah.
Coming, what was it announced last week? They were ranked 14th in the country. And, they got a few tournaments picking up in April and that, but I'm excited to see what that group can do
Yeah,
coming up
Coach
here.
Skinner usually has that team
Yeah.
ready to go, and I know they got some training facilities also going on in the
Yep,
Sonic
I heard
Center.
the simulators were up and rolling, so I don't know how you and I could get a pass to go in there and have.
I know Coach Skinner. I was talking to him because his daughter Caitlin, who was
Mhm.
playing. If I get that name right. She, great golfer,
Yep.
going to state, and we were talking. He's like, "Yeah, the simulator. You should come." I was like, "I probably should come see it, but I don't know. It'd probably make me too jealous to go see that compared to my backyard, which is already
Is it
chopped.
dug up? Or
Oh, it's dug up. I couldn't even go back to the snow field in the mud from where my footprints are. So, but yeah, I mean that team, and it, from years and years, they've been hosting and getting great players there, and I think this year it'd be fun to see what they can do with it. 14th in the nation.
Yeah,
Do some fun tournaments for them.
absolutely. Yeah, they'll begin April 4th in Illinois, and then April 18th they're going to be over in Minnesota, then back in Illinois at the end of April, and then Lake Arrowhead for the WIAC Championship beginning in May. So, and then we'll see after that. But all right, that's your local sports roundup, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center.
It's Carolyn Skinner, and I'm sorry, Carolyn. Carolyn Skinner. I screwed that name up enough in the days. I want to make sure I get it right.
We'll take a quick break, and we'll wrap up our time with JC in the EC coming up after these quick words. All right, before we let our good buddy Justice go here, we've got let's talk a little hoops here because, well, college hoops. Big Ten Conference tournament begins this week. Big East tournament also begins. Not a great way to finish the regular season for the Badger men's basketball team, though.
Oh.
Losing senior day at home to Penn State, which ultimately means they don't get the double bye. So, I mean, I guess if you're looking at the bigger picture, they probably would, if they win, they'd play UCLA regardless, 4 or 5. But still, I just thought we could get into the debate about the seedings and that whether they matter. I think it's just more like that was a bad loss.
Oh, that's
against
a
Penn
horrible
State.
loss. Yeah.
That was awful.
And again, you had a big lead at one point, and you find a way to lose that. And the one thing I've been looking for from this Badger team is to play clutch basketball. And it still seems, unless they're leading big, which I mean they have blown a couple, like there aren't a lot of close wins. A lot of it comes down to being able to have a big lead. But come to the tournament, you're going to have a game where you're either up by 3, down by 3 in that final minute. And I'd love to see them play with more of a killer instinct in those moments than almost play tentatively as they have. And again, this is a team that's played some good basketball this year and, has scored a lot more than you have. But it just seems like in those close situations, you haven't seen it play to that level that you would like to see. And even like the Minnesota game was probably more of a game than it needed to be. So
exactly.
Questions coming into the tournament. You'd like to see them make a deep Big Ten tournament run. But yeah, I mean, you're going to end up running into a tough team that you're going to have to play a tight, close game. And they got to find a way to win those games. Obviously, after this tournament, once you're in the big dance, you get one chance to.
Yeah, I wonder. I haven't seen. Maybe I should probably bring this up. I haven't seen Lenardi's updated. Did that loss drop them down a seed or not? Because they were at 3.
Right, because they were like 12, so they're probably now into like a 4 or 5, I would say now.
That's what I was kind of worried about. So okay, this was updated last night. Let's see where Joe Lenardi's got Wisconsin here. So he's got Wisconsin load up here. Michigan State, Tennessee are 2 seeds. Texas Tech, Alabama 2 seeds. St. John's a 3 seed. Texas A&M is a 3 seed. Kentucky's a 3 seed. Yeah, it drops. They're not a 3 seed anymore. Wisconsin's a 4 seed.
It just should be. I mean, you lose to Penn State like that, a team that's not even going to be in the Big Ten tournament. That's
yep.
And you got. I guess the one thing you can look at is Penn State was playing with. They had nothing to lose.
That's what always makes me nervous when you have those teams that come in and
But does that mean the Badgers were, laying off a little bit? Like thinking, yeah, exactly. You can't do that this time of year.
Yep. And here's the thing too, that dropping them down to that 4 seed, if we use Joe Lenardi's bracketology, they're not playing in Milwaukee opening round. So
that could have that's you go from an easy travel day to possibly being able to stay in your own house if you wanted to own. And now you're going to be traveling. So
he's got them in Denver, where they would play High Point, but if they were to win, potentially playing BYU in a 4-5, and if they win that, potentially playing Duke. Although this is spicy. Could have a Duke UConn second round matchup.
The Hurley versus the old school. This could be. Yeah, I think there's the potential to change that's still there. You make a run at least to the Big Ten championship game, if not winning the Big Ten championship.
That should move you up at least a spot.
Because you're going to bump off a couple of teams that are ahead of you to get to that point. So there's potential there, and you'd love to see them be able to do like kind of what they did last year. Make that run. Didn't get to win it, but make the run.
Yep. So I think overall Big Ten Michigan State's playing incredibly well, but I think you can make the case for still a half a dozen teams. I wouldn't be surprised if they win the conference tournament.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then that's how the Big Ten tournament normally is. It's usually the favorite isn't the one that really comes out of there.
Right.
It's somebody who it's such a grueling grind with the amount of teams that are going to probably make the NCAA tournament battling each other. So
and I'm kind of curious to see how the likes of a UCLA first year in this, how they kind of play out.
I even forgot that factor. You throw in all those teams from the old Pac-12 in there now. It's a mini tournament, a mini NCAA tournament now with the amount of teams that are thrown in there.
Right. So, I mean, when you look at it, UCLA is kind of the only Pac-12 team. I mean, Oregon, I think, is a good team.
Yeah.
Don't overlook them and such. But, yeah, how they kind of come out of this first Big Ten tournament for
Yep.
them. Marquette, meanwhile, I mean, close against St. John's, but I mean, this was a team that was leading the Big East a month or so ago, and now they're the 5th seed
Yeah,
in this thing, or 4th seed, 5th seed, because Xavier's a 4 seed.
It's a grueling schedule, but they've lost games that they probably shouldn't have lost as well, much like the Badgers that, against those teams in the lower end of the standings. So that's a team, again, they played well. They've played well against the top teams. It's just they haven't been able to get the wins. So it's another one of those, can they turn it on when it comes to the right time here, especially as we start the Big East tournament, and then they're going to be in the NCAA tournament, no doubt about that. But yeah, it hasn't been where they were. And I mean, the Badgers can be the same way. It's like both those teams have potential to be top 10 teams. And then it seems like once they get into the top 10, that's when they start to kind of struggle a little bit. So come tournament time, I mean, that Shaka Smart has a way of getting those teams to play great in the tournament. So I'm not going to discount them making a run at all. But now, again, not the way they wanted to end the regular season as well.
Right. And I'm looking again at bracketology. They got them as a 7 seed. If they were playing Baylor, which would be an intriguing first round matchup. But if they were to win, Michigan State.
And again, that's a team that was probably a 2 seed because they were a top 5 team for a while there.
Yeah.
And so to go from 2 to 7 in a month
and not play Milwaukee.
Yeah.
That's the other part too. So
once you're in that, once you get dropped below that 5-6, you're starting to play some really tough teams in just your second round. They're all going to be tough, but like you really get some elite matchups in just the second round there.
Yep. So Selection Sunday, less than a week away. Don't forget, you can pre-sign up for our bracket challenge just by going to our website, sportstalk1051.com, and clicking on the Fan Cave tab. Meanwhile, Bucks lost last night to the Cavs. This is a team that has not this season beaten the Cavs, the Celtics, and the Knicks, the 3 teams that are ahead of them in Eastern Conference. I was watching the game a little bit last night. And this last night, too, when you look at nobody from the Cavs scored more than 20 points.
Right.
There was I think a half a dozen players that had double-digit scoring. I mean, that just shows the depth of that team.
Right. I was going to say they are a team that can spread it around. They're not a big-name team. You really aren't. But that's the fun thing to watch about them. I mean, this is a team that's kind of snuck up on everybody, and it just kept getting better and better and better. And now you see them battling for the top of the conference. It's pretty amazing. And
14-game winning streak now, I
think.
Right.
And like they're the most under-the-radar team in the league, easily in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
to say you're like 9 games ahead of Boston,
right,
for Eastern Conference.
We're all talking about the Lakers.
Yeah, that's why I loved what Barkley did last week. So it was so cool. I loved it. But I mean, that's watching that game a little bit last night too. When it gets to the postseason, they better not have stretches where Giannis and Dame are not on the court. Like when they're both on the bench, because that is it was like organized chaos at times without those guys, and that just again. The depth, I think, is probably the biggest. Now, maybe it's different if Bobby Portis is back. Where you got some of that. But it was like, outside of those 2 guys from last night, you had Kyle Kuzma with 14, and then Ryan Rollins in 3 minutes had 10. And that was your top 4 scorers in the game.
It's, I mean, they are coming off maybe playing their most successful stretch of basketball until the last couple games. And then all of a sudden it's just been, and that's kind of been their season. It's kind of rioted a little bit and kind of come back down to earth. So you don't really know yet what to expect from this team. I think if everybody's healthy and if they're not, managing minutes, I think they're a second round team for sure, in my mind. It's just, are they built to win those 7, go 7 games with somebody?
It's like you get through the second round, then you're probably playing, Knicks or Boston or something. I just like, I don't know about that.
That's the thing. I mean, how loaded conferences at the top there. You're playing an elite team in that second round. And a team that has a chance to go to the finals, because every one of those teams is that good. So
I think you can. Cleveland is just so deep. Boston, we know about them. Knicks, they're talented. You can make a case for either one of those 3 to go. And Bucks are probably going to play, if they were to beat, let's say, the Pacers in the first round.
And that's another team. Yeah, exactly. It could get hot at the right time.
And that was a team we did not want to play last year.
Right.
What if you get by them? I don't know if I'd pick them to beat the Knicks or the Celtics or whoever they would face in the second
Yeah.
round at this point in time.
Unless things
So.
just, again, they were playing some really good basketball, but they weren't playing a lot of the top teams in those. And like you said, they really haven't beat the top teams this year. Maybe OKC in the Commissioner's Cup.
Yeah. And I know they just beat the Nuggets the other night too, but something about those top 3 in the East that they can't, and they're only going to get. And last night was the beginning of a really like tough stretch of games for the Bucks coming up on their schedule, because tomorrow they got the Pacers, then they got the Lakers, which I know LeBron's going to be out, but still, who knows?
Yeah.
Then the Pacers again, then the Thunder, then the Warriors, then the Lakers, then the Kings, then the Suns, then the Nuggets, then the Knicks.
That's a heck of a West Coast,
Yeah.
Western Conference battles that they have going on there, and then
Yeah.
throwing in Knicks at the end there. It's going to be a rough. They'll kind of see what this team really can do here, maybe in the next week or two to against some of these elite teams.
And that Knicks game's the last one that they've got between the Cavs, Knicks, or the Celtics. So, and then after that Knicks one, it eases up a bit. You got Hawks, Suns, 76ers, and such, and Pelicans a couple times. But then you look at the last 2 games of the regular season, because we're just a little over a month left.
Yeah.
Didn't think this would be the case, but it could affect positioning. Their last 2 games are against the Pistons.
Right. And you don't want to fall into that play-in tournament bracket there. So,
no. And Pistons are right behind them. How about that for, Cavs were just scrutinizing the offseason for firing their coach. And they bring in Kenny Atkinson, who has done a wonderful job for the Cavs.
Oh, yeah.
But the Cavs coach who got fired last year is the Pistons coach, who's doing a fantastic job too. So I guess it worked out.
Sometimes change of venue is a good thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, all right. We only got about a minute and a half till the shot clock cuts us off. So a big time shout out to you boys over there for all the busy work you guys been putting in for the coverage. I know a lot of high school stuff and college and that, and we got state basketball coming up here. Then the boys too, a lot of local teams still alive and still competing. So keep up a lot of miles and a lot of lack of sleep. So keep up the good stuff.
I give biggest shout out to JD, Phillip, and Dwayne, who helps as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like just going out there and like I said, putting the miles on and working these weird out, like on Saturday with the sectional finals, coming in early, heading over to Marshfield for some of those games. Could be heading
kind of had to adjust on times, right? Because they were changing a little.
You don't know too a lot of times until like 2 days before, and then you're throwing. Yeah, Saturday is one of the most chaotic. There's days like every season, and Saturday was the spring kick because you had everything going on at once. So.
Yeah. So, but you guys are doing a fantastic job. So
we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And looking forward to watching you guys with Girls States coming up. We'll see if any of our local teams can bring back a gold or silver ball.
Let's hope so
too. So enjoy some time. I know you got spring break, so we won't catch up with you next week and such. So school's out, right? Those kids. Maybe courses will be open so you can take the boy out. Huh? Maybe
it would be a foursome because then I'd have to take the 2 girls with too because there's no school.
Never know, right?
Or we could each have our own caddy.
There you go. So
I'm sure they would love that.
Appreciate it, buddy. Hey, coming up, we're gonna talk with our good friends from the Chippewa River Industries. They got their cornhole tournament coming up. So
my final note. Ooh. Oh my gosh, I'm not
breaking stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
So did you ever? I never talked to you since the latest drama with our friends, the Lumber Jacks, or what the hell they're called. Axemen.
No.
So Dietrich, who was he's no longer the GM. Brianna's the GM.
Did he get fired?
That's all we can figure.
What?
That we are still could be amazed. Apparently they don't even own the turf yet.
So apparently they tried to set up a meeting with us a couple weeks ago. And it was with Phil Tripper, our ops manager. They ghosted it. They were the ones that wanted a meeting. So Phil went to it, didn't show up. I think it was on Zoom, and they didn't even log in to do it.
I still think they're going to play games
here. Yeah.
That's like,
yeah. God. Good, because
Well, they want us, but they're like announce their first press conference at Q was like there.
Yeah. Right.
Why would you even do that?
Exactly.
Like they had like a youth campus.
Yeah, and then I saw like West Side had some West Side bar was like meet your favorite player.
Like my
Third hour kicking off on this Monday morning of March 10th. A big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you're tuning in. Coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios. We'll keep you posted if there's any NFL free agency news when it comes to Green Bay and such. But timing wise, 3 hours from now is when they can quote unquote legally start talking, even though we know they don't follow the rules when it comes to that. But we'll keep you posted if anything does happen to pop up here in the next hour. We are going to catch up right now, though, with our good friends from Chippewa River Industries, because, well, you've got your third Dave, our good friend Dave, who is a big supporter of Backyard Dreams as well, and you can see him out on the golf course with our golf outing every summer.
I'm the one leading the pack usually.
Exactly. Yep. We'll define leading the pack.
Right.
But no, thanks for stopping by, guys.
Yeah,
It's
well,
good to see you again.
Thank you, Dan. We appreciate it. And we have Stacy Markham with us too, our marketing director, and we're glad for the opportunity to talk about our third annual Tossing High for CRI coming up on March 29th.
So yeah, tell us for anybody who's listening to, maybe kind of give us a little bit of a glimpse or a little bit of background. What is CRI or what is Chippewa River Industries?
Yeah, well, so CRI, we've been around for over 50 years. We provide services to people with significant disabilities in the Chippewa Valley. We have offices from Rice Lake to Eau Claire with our main campus in Chippewa Falls. And really our mission is all about helping people live and work as independently as possible in their communities. And so very person-centered approach. We're serving just over 400 people a year through a variety of programs. And then we also offer a very robust enterprise that we offer to business and industry throughout the nation. So it's a very neat organization. We encourage anyone to come on out, get in touch with us, and grab a tour.
So with your event already the third year, I feel like it's just started, it feels like,
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah.
it's third year. How has the first 2 years gone for your event?
And I will have Stacy speak in a second, but it has gone really quite well. In fact, this year we're already sold out with teams.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is good. We do have a waiting list for teams, but that doesn't mean people can't come. We have a wonderful event. There's tons of raffles, meat raffle, basket raffles, just regular raffles where you can earn up or win up to $1,500. So it's a great event. Come on out. You don't have to be present to win. So come on out, buy a raffle, leave, and we'll call you if we win.
Even better.
Yeah.
Right there
Exactly.
too, right? So where do these funds go for then for this event? What are you raising money for? Where do the funds go for this?
So this year we're just raising funds for like the mission programs and services of CRI.
Okay.
So the last 2 years, the first year we did 2 smart boards, which were for training and educational purposes. So we were able to get those. We have one in our Chippewa Falls location, and we have one in our Eau Claire Day Services location. And then last year we raised funds for transportation for day services. And what's exciting is this month we also just opened our new day services program in Chippewa Falls.
Oh, wow.
So some of the funds will be going to help get that implemented, probably with transportation, just little things that are needed. But throughout the year, we like to do a lot of different events for our clients. We anticipate some of the money going towards that.
So location same as before over at Loopy's.
It is, Dan said, Loopy's, and I do want to call out that our sponsor. We couldn't do this without our sponsors.
Yeah.
And I know Midwest Family and your show is a big sponsor, and we appreciate that just as much as we appreciate going to your backyard dreams event. But we do have we changed up the sponsorship levels a little bit this year, and we do have 2 elite sponsors, Cohen Law and Security Financial Bank.
Nice.
So we appreciate them as well. We appreciate all of our sponsors,
right?
Of course.
But yeah, definitely big thanks for everybody stepping up for that. And did I see so you're sold at 64 teams?
64 teams, and we have a wait list. So if I still want to encourage people to sign up because you never know.
Right, exactly.
So go to our website, crind.org. You'll see a banner that says talks about the tournament and everything. Just click that, and it gives you all the information that you need.
And it's for all skill sets too, right?
Yeah, it is. Yes, because Stacey and I planned. So we need to have a non-competitive division, right? So yeah, there's a competitive and non-competitive division for sure. And I was just asked, can I bring my kid to it? And I'm absolutely. This is a very family-friendly event. And again, stop on out, just hang out with us, buy some raffles. It's a lot of good fun.
It sounds like some really good raffle prizes too for anybody out there. I mean, you kind of mentioned a little bit meat raffles. I mean, come on, it is Wisconsin. We got to have a meat raffle, right?
Right.
So, and that.
Yeah, we have a lot of great baskets. And the cash prizes are $1,500, $1,000, and $500.
Wow.
So that's first, second, third for the main raffle. So yeah.
Wow. Yep. So that's awesome. So timing wise, because it's March 29th, the event, for registration or for sign up or for when people can start showing up, when can they start showing up for that day?
So registration starts at 9 a.m. and the tournament starts at 10.
Okay.
But if you're not playing, you feel free to stop out anytime throughout the day, and you don't have to be present to win. So if you only have a chunk of the morning where you can stop out, hang out, sign up for prizes, and then hopefully we're giving you a call at the end of the day saying, hey, we got your winnings.
Right. So, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I think it's round 2 of the NCAA tournament. So we'll make sure we have TVs out there so people can watch your favorite team during the tournament.
You got baseball going on too.
Right,
so,
I mean,
it's you got 2 birds with one stone with that. So anybody listen if they're in it, because, some people are like, I don't know if you guys are, can they bring their own bags?
Yes.
Okay, they can.
Yep.
So, I got to imagine some people probably ask that, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yep. People can bring their own bags. We have a vendor there that sells their own bags. So if you don't have bags, but we also provide bags too.
Okay. Yeah. See, I'm not at that level. just give me one and then I'm good to go. But yeah, it's weird to see how that sport or that game has changed over the last few years where it was just like a weekend tailgate thing. And now I know people that go across the country to compete. For bags.
Stacey, one of our sponsors is Chippewa Valley Cornhole League, I think it's called. And Stacey and I went to visit them a couple Tuesdays ago. And it's amazing how good some of these folks are.
I know, right? But, then you got the people that spin it
out of my league. Yeah,
right.
They don't miss. There's no missing. Yes. I mean, we've learned a lot in the last 3 years. I mean, we're not professional by any means. We run the tournament and leave it up to everybody else. But it's fun to kind of see the game grow even in the last
Mhm.
couple of years. And yeah, we talk to people and they're like, yep, I've been traveling throughout the state, throughout the country to go and do these different tournaments, and they're sponsored. And we're like, that's amazing.
And it's so cool that you guys are doing this too, because you don't see a lot of these type of events, tournaments like cornhole was. Like, golf, we do golf. Everybody kind of does golf. But you guys are doing the cornhole one, which I think everybody loves to play it. And I haven't heard of too many other organizations doing that. So it's a unique one to our area as well.
Yeah, it is, and we pride ourselves on that. I mean, having some variety is always nice, right?
Mhm.
And we could throw a golf tournament together, I suppose, but why competing with yours? You got such a good one for backyard drinks. But yeah, I mean, it was important to us too to have two divisions, so that folks who aren't competitive in cornhole can still play and play with others who are at the same skill level. So it's all about having fun, and which we are guaranteeing people have fun.
So if there's anybody listening, are you still taking sponsorships too, or
Yes.
donations?
Yep.
for
We're
that?
still taking sponsorships and donations. If people want to give raffle baskets, that would be a great need that we need right now.
Okay. So where can they get more information for any of that, or just in general for your event?
The biggest way to do that is to go to our website, crind.org, or if they want to give us a call, our number is 715-726-7822.
And is it weather permitting, or is it Loopy's going to have the dome, so it
Dome
doesn't
is up,
matter?
rain or
Dome is
shine.
It's the last weekend of the
snow,
dome. Yep.
anything,
All
yeah.
right. So
So rain or shine. Yep.
you don't have to worry about that. If it's
Right.
going to rain or anything, you guys will be playing.
We will be.
Yes.
Yes.
that
100%.
weekend. So again, March 29th at Loopy's. Registration starts at 9. The event starts at 10.
Yep.
Even if you're not playing, stop by, watch a lot of good, probably cornhole or average. But for a great event, I mean, 64 teams, that's a lot of people stopping by for a good event. That's
Yeah, 128 players.
yeah, I'm
Quick
glad you
math?
did the math. I can't do math, so it's-
128 players. Yeah.
Mhm.
It generates. We get a couple hundred people show up, so it's great.
That is
It's a
awesome.
great event. And people come and go, so don't feel like
Mhm.
you have to stay the whole time.
Yeah. So, well, you guys do a fantastic job. Keep it up. Keep up the hard work and such. And a big thanks again to the sponsors, your elite sponsors, and every sponsor that has stepped up for this. And it seems like it's grown every year, right? Is that accurate? That it's grown every year
Yeah.
for the third?
It's getting fuller, which
Yeah.
is great. We've sold out on teams. We just are selling out quicker.
Quicker. Yep.
And so we sold out, I think, last week. So 30 days before the event is pretty amazing. So we're proud of that.
But again, if you're still listening, still sign up because I mean,
Great.
we've dealt with it with golf. Sometimes a team has to back out, and then you got a waiting list, and you're able to pop right in. So still sign up if you have to.
No
or
matter
want
what
to.
skill set you are, if you haven't played
Yep.
in like 6 years, even better. That's what
It's
makes
good.
it more fun.
Yeah.
Good way to reconnect with some people too, right? Like I'm thinking about, me and my buddies used to do it between ball games all the time. Haven't done it in a while. So there you go.
There you
Come
go.
and do this.
Come
So
on over and brush up.
yep, exactly. Right. So March 29th, Loopy's coming up in a couple days or a couple weeks, excuse me. A fantastic event, Chippewa River Industries. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by and talking to us a little bit. And congratulations on all the success and keep doing up the fantastic work.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you, Dan.
You got it. All right, let's take a quick break. And we'll don't have any more Packers rumors. Sorry, Dave. Nothing's popping up right now. So, but we'll talk some more football coming up after these quick words. Coming up next Friday, that would be March 21st. If you're looking for somewhere to watch some basketball, watch it with us. We're going to be over at VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue. Got some giveaways going on, some free beer, Man Cave Light, and such. But we'll be over there Friday, March 21st. Might even have some celebrity bartenders going on over there too. So, yeah. So hit us up on next Friday, and that should be a lot of fun. Maybe the Badgers will be playing during that time. But again, VFW Post 305, Star Avenue in Eau Claire. All right. No Packers updates yet. No Packers updates yet. And again, so yesterday we had a lot of stuff going on, right? We had Devontae Adams reportedly signing, or the Rams kind of confirmed it, right? So the Rams signed Devontae. DK is going to get traded. That can't become official until a couple days from now. So we had a lot of stuff going on yesterday. But reminder that, for a lot of people that, maybe some Packers fans that are kind of sitting there saying like, well, Green Bay's not doing anything. They're, again, just kind of sitting on their hands and not doing anything. Reminder, the players that are signing right now are players who were released from their teams. Because I think it's still kind of being forgotten out there. These are players that were released from their teams and are eligible to sign right away with teams. So these guys like a Milton Williams or anybody else that are scheduled to be free agents, they can't sign, or we can't hear those deals announced until 11 o'clock our time. So don't freak out yet, Packers fans, that if your team's not doing anything yet. Don't be throwing stuff against the wall or anything like. Don't freak out yet. Okay? There's still other guys out there. But I will ask, what were your thoughts on, or what was your reaction when you heard the news about Devontae and DK? Let me know, okay? Hit me up with a text at 715-830-1912. I was going through, we got a couple spam stuff over there. I was trying to figure out what was what they were talking about, but it looks like it's some spam messages kind of coming through here now too, so I got to block that. But a couple of texts coming up here. John says he wasn't too disappointed with the DK Metcalf one because of the contract. As soon as I saw that it was for $30 million per year and for 5 years, I was okay with Green Bay not making that deal. Ben says disappointed that they weren't able to land DK Metcalf, but I totally get it why they didn't make that deal because of the size of contract he got. Another texter said if they would have been able to send a third round and Romeo Dobbs for DK, I would have been A-okay with that, but not a second round pick. Another texter says didn't want DK anyways, knew it was going to cost too much for him. I think they go with a cheaper veteran route, maybe an Amari Cooper. That was actually from Matt on our texting line. Another texter says, I've wanted Chris Godwin since the beginning, and so far he's still available. Hopefully the Packers surprise a lot of people and able to sign him. Another texter says that they hope Green Bay focuses more on the defensive side to add some free agents like a corner and a defensive end. So they weren't too disappointed to see that the Packers were out on the receivers. Chris earlier said about Devontae was a little sad to see that the Packers weren't able to sign Devontae, considering the contract wasn't so bad. Another texter says they wish they would have been able to get Devontae. Disappointed to hear that the Packers didn't even make any contact with Devontae Adams. And that was a report that the Packers didn't call or didn't make a connection with Devontae. Don't know if that was 100% true. These are rumors. These are speculations. It did come from, I believe, Jason Wilde. So, he's a respectful Packers reporter, so I don't doubt that what he had heard is probably true by his reporting in that. So would be a little. I'm guilty of this, and I know a lot of other fans are guilty of this. I got sucked in to the notion, to the idea of bringing Devontae back, or to the idea of acquiring DK Metcalf. I got sucked into it like a lot of fans. And it was in my head like the possibility could be there. And I should have learned better, or I should have known better. And the more I think about it, it just didn't. And maybe this is my way of like coping with it. But the more I think about it, it just maybe doesn't make sense, or didn't make sense for Green Bay to go out there and spend the amount of capital for a guy like DK or Devontae. When, you look at the roster, they're not giving up on Jane Reed, and they shouldn't. They're not giving up on, Dontavian Wicks, and they shouldn't. And, Tucker Kraft is going to be probably more of an option within this offense and such. So it just maybe kind of felt like now when you look at it and take a step away and kind of take a deep breath, you're like, okay, it probably makes sense that Green Bay's not going to go out there and commit long-term and big money to a guy like DK Metcalf, or maybe commit, $25 million a year, whatever it was, 23, 25 million a year to a guy like Devontae for a couple of years. It kind of makes sense. Maybe they go a little bit of a cheaper option with a veteran and such, not necessarily a number one type of guy, but a veteran that comes in and just elevates the play from within with his presence and provides a little bit of veteran leadership at that standpoint. That maybe kind of makes more sense. Again, it could just be my coping mechanism on this, because I was so, buying in the idea of like, hey, maybe this could happen. Hey, maybe they're going to do this. Hey, that just makes too much sense. Why wouldn't they do it? So maybe I'm just going through the stages a little bit here, but I guess when you take a step back and you kind of look at it like, yeah, maybe that wasn't really going to happen, when you kind of think about it a little bit. Because really, when was the last time? And I know it's different. You got a general manager that's been here since 2018. Every general manager is different. But when was the last time that Green Bay went outside of their organization to sign a receiver to a big deal? Like, they've always been like, okay, we're going to draft our receivers, we're going to draft our guys. And this is the case for a lot of their positions, but they're going to draft their guys, then they're going to reward them. But then they kind of let them go after their third contract, essentially, right? I mean, that was the way for a lot of these guys. Devontae got a huge deal going to the Raiders, although it was reported that Green Bay was willing to give him a big deal. It's just he wanted out. I still feel like if Rodgers would have played that year, Rodgers actually did play that year. I really believe if Rodgers would have committed for the next couple of years and maybe they didn't have a Jordan Love waiting the wigs, Devontae would have stayed in Green Bay. But I was trying to think of like who was the last, Sammy Watkins wasn't it. They brought him from the outside, but boy, that didn't work out. That thing didn't work out, not even close. And, even like from a tight end perspective, Martellus Bennett didn't work out. Jimmy Graham didn't work out. Jared Cook was the only one that kind of worked out, and that was by the cheap. Marcedes Lewis was around for a little bit, but he was more for a blocking tight end. So, yeah, maybe when you would just kind of look at history, and they always say history repeats itself, that it's just not in the cards. Now, this will all blow up in our face and change the whole narrative if we find out that Green Bay has signed Chris Godwin. It'll completely change. But kind of in the first hour where I went through my 5 under the radar type of players, I wouldn't be surprised if they kick the tires on a guy like Darius Slayton. A veteran receiver who's been around for 6 years, isn't going to be a number one wide receiver, but he's going to elevate the play within the group. He's going to be a veteran leadership for those younger guys. And just with him being a part of that group will elevate the talent and elevate the play of the others surrounding him. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a signing like that, where maybe you can get him for a couple of years. Maybe it's a 1-year thing so he can prove that he's got what it takes. He gets to cash in playing in a year with a really good offense, and then maybe hits the free agency next year, tries to cash in on that. But I don't know. I have my doubts on Chris Godwin, whether Green Bay is going to be able to sign him. I would love it. Here's the thing, like I wouldn't be complaining if they signed him. But I'm not holding on to a lot of faith that they're going to do it. And, if you're a Packers fan listening right now, what position do you want Green Bay to address in this quote-unquote first wave of free agency? Okay, you're going to hear about the first wave of free agency. That's where the big deals are coming, and that's where in a couple hours from now you're going to have all these NFL peeps tweeting out so-and-so has agreed to a deal with this team. That first wave, that first week. If there was a position that you want to see Green Bay really focus on in that first wave, what's that position? And what's the position that you think they can maybe fill their needs in the second wave of free agency, where maybe there's the bargains that we've been so used to for a long time in Green Bay, mostly under the Ted Thompson era. But where's that position that you think they can maybe find the bargains in the second wave to fill their positions of need? Do you think the priority is still defensive line or a defensive end? Is it a corner? Is it a wide receiver? Do you think their priority should be trying to find a center or re-signing Josh Myers? I feel like Josh Myers at this point is gone. I think Green Bay has re-signed the guys that they wanted to make sure that they re-signed before free agency opened. And I think now they're looking for outside help. I really think that they're going to prioritize defense first. Defensive lineman, defensive end, a corner. And even like the corner position. You got some guys out there that are probably going to cash in, whether it's a DJ Reed or maybe a Ward from the 49ers. He's up there in age and 29, but I could see a team giving him a decent deal, good chunk deal. Byron Murphy from Minnesota. Those are some of the top corners that are out there. But again, if Green Bay, does Green Bay look at that as like, okay, and this is operating again under the assumption that Jair will be traded. Are they going to sign one of those top ones while trying to move on from Jair, where they are going to be taking a dead cap hit? Or are they going to try to find a veteran maybe that they can get for a year or two just to improve some depth and then still draft a corner in this draft? That's something what they kind of did in 2018 when they drafted Jair. I believe that was the year they brought back Devon House and they brought back Tramon Williams. That was also they double dipped and had Josh Jackson in the second round. So I think Green Bay's in a little bit of a better spot at this point with at least Keyshawn and Carrington Valentine. But I think Green Bay's bare minimum has to get two corners. And ideally for me, one would be a veteran in free agency. Maybe it's a year or two deal. And then you draft a corner and you build up your depth. Because right now that is definitely, you could say they got their two starters on the outside. And Javon Bullard's going to play your nickel, your slot. But they need depth. And they need more bodies on that depth chart. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of maybe target a veteran that maybe they can get for a year or two or for a couple of years. Definitely defensive line help. To me, the question is going to be, do they look at the interior defensive lineman or do they look at an edge rusher? Do they look at a defensive lineman that can help with their pass rush? Or do they want Do they feel like they need it from the defensive end? I think if you ask fans, I think if you ask a lot of Packers fans, again, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think, the majority might say defensive end, somebody to replace Lucas Van Ness. Do they add another one as part of that rotation over there? But as many have said too, there's a lot of money invested. There's a lot of money invested in that defensive line group. I just wonder how much are they going to go out there and spend on it already. They got a lot invested in Kenny Clark. They've got a lot invested in Rashawn Gary. I think they're going to want to keep Devontae Wyatt around. Lucas Van Ness is still on a rookie deal, but it's a first-round rookie deal. So how much more are they going to invest in that defensive line? Are they going to look for a bargain, potential bargain, a veteran for a year or so? Not saying that that's what I would do or whether that's right or not. Just a quick look at Kenny Clark's contract too, to kind of see where they're on the hook. So a potential out would be after this year. So, gosh, honestly, see this being Kenny Clark's final year. If his play is similar to what we saw this past year, his cap hit, I could see this being his final year. 2026, he has a cap hit of $31.4 million. $31.4 million cap hit. His dead cap, it's a big one, but it's $17 million. So even if you were to say no thanks, you'd be taking on a $17 million cap hit, but you'd be opening up $16 million. So this is a big season for Kenny Clark in terms of like if he wants to stay in Green Bay and wants to make some of that money and such. Yeah. 2027, it drops down to a 20 cap hit, and the dead cap is only 7. But still, this really could be the final year for Kenny Clark. If his play doesn't improve, because I don't know, I'm sorry, but if his play was like last year, I know he did some good things, but given what his contract was worth or what he got, with his extension and that, I don't think it lived up to it. And if he plays like he did last year, I could see him being the Jair Alexander and being cut. Or, I think he's going to get cut because I don't know of a team that would take on that contract. So do you factor that in? It's like, okay, some of these younger defensive linemen, interior defensive linemen that are out there, maybe some up-and-comers. Yeah, we're going to give them a nice deal because this is going to be the final year of Kenny Clark. Devontae Wyatt probably going to get his 5th-year option picked up. Maybe not. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But at least he has shown to be the best interior pass rusher from that standpoint. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how Green Bay goes about with this defensive line. Do they focus on the edge, or do they focus on the interior? Interesting. All right, let's take a break. Our final break. Got picks and predicts coming up. Maybe we'll do some free agency predicts. How about that? Give me a big, bold prediction on who Green Bay will reportedly sign today. Give me a name. just a little over a month away, and we will be over in Green Bay doing some shows for the NFL Draft, the Thursday and Friday. We'll be doing the shows over there live in the morning. Got to give a big thanks to our good friends at AJM Automotive, one of our partners, sponsors, helping us get on over there for the NFL Draft. AJM Automotive, again, if you're looking for awesome quality service. Because I know when it comes to, vehicle repair and such, I'm one of those. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good deal. I don't know if that needs to be fixed or not. I can trust the fine folks at AJM Automotive because I know they got my best interest in their minds and such. And plus, I mean, I've gotten my snowblower fixed up over there. We've gotten brakes done over there. And, with the warmer weather, maybe you're starting to think about spring and summer and lawn mowing. You can get your lawnmower over there, get it ready to go. So you're not kind of like waiting, before it's too late and the grass is already all too tall. And then you're like, dang it, I got to get it in and such. Get it in now to our good friends at AJM Automotive on Brackett Avenue. And plus, they also offer towing services too. So they got you covered in a bunch of different areas over at AJM Automotive. Good stuff over there for their entire crew. And big thanks again to them for being one of our partners and sponsors for our draft coverage in Green Bay coming up next month. Before we get to some picks and predicts, some more texts about free agency and such, we got it looks like at least the for the fans that have texted in this morning, they understand the DK and Devontae signing and such. Jim says, totally get why Green Bay did not get DK Metcalf. It was a little too rich for my blood, both in compensation and the contract. Kyle says, was disappointed that they could not get Devontae Adams. I was really hoping that there was going to be a reunion, but it seems like Devontae got exactly what he wanted, going back to the West Coast and a good contract with a contending team. Mike says, good morning, Dan. It's Mike. I don't care what the Packers' position is. I just want them to do something. I know we need more defensive help in the pass rush. I know we need a receiver. I just want them to do something. Still hoping for Hendricks from the Bengals. I hope they do something. I just want something. That's a lot of I want somethings. Trey Hendrickson, I think that one's probably going to be gone too. I mean, the market for edge rushers, what Max Crosby got and then what Myles Garrett got, I think the Trey Hendrickson one's just that to me is out the window now too. It's just there is just stupid money being spent all over the place. It's like what was the comparison I saw with the DK one? Like Green Bay could have fit him, but man, was it maybe it wasn't Pittsburgh? It had to be Pittsburgh, but it was like how they fit. I don't know. It was just there was certain teams can do that because they got the cap space, and right now, Pittsburgh obviously is not paying a quarterback, so they got a little bit more money that they can throw out there for a guy like DK Metcalf and such. But man, that definitely a big chunk. Ooh. This is kind of an not football related, but basketball related. Steph Curry has accepted a role with his alma mater, Davidson College, as an assistant general manager for the basketball programs. Curry becomes the first active player in the United States in a U.S. major pro sports to take an administrative job with an NCAA team. Okay, not to be negative or anything, but or to be poo-poo on this. But again, this just is it more of like how much work is he actually going to do? Like, is he actually going to, go and do some recruiting stuff or is it just going to be like a simple phone call to a potential recruit? Hey man, Steph Curry here. How you doing? And get the guy excited like, oh, I just talked to Steph Curry. Yeah, I'll go to Davidson. You know what I'm getting at. That's where some of these GMs, I'm like, yeah, they actually like GMs, or are they kind of like the celebs that are like, hey, I'll talk to you if you come, go play at Davidson and such. So All right, let's do some picks and predicts. Brought to you by the Elbow Room, located in Eau Claire, next to the Banbury Place. Let's start off with some NBA games here before we get to some crazy bold predictions for Packers free agency. Do they get one today? Is it tomorrow? Maybe next week in the second wave of free agency. First, before that, let's get to some NBA games. No Bucks game. We only got 3 games or on Tuesday. I was looking at Tuesdays. We got a few games on the docket here tonight. Let's start off with the Knicks visiting Sacramento. I will go with the Knickerbockers. Dallas at San Antonio. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Spurs. Denver at Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm going to go with OKC. Phoenix at Memphis. Give me Memphis. Orlando at Houston. I'll ride with the Rockets. Charlotte at Miami again. I'm going to go with Miami in this one. Lakers at Brooklyn. I'll still go with Lakers with no LeBron. And then Philly at Atlanta. Yeah, give me Hotlanta. Give me the Hawks for that one. Let's move on over to some conference tournament games, shall we? Do we have any good ones up here? Or are we still okay? We're not into the big ones here, but we got Pepperdine at St. Mary's. Speaking of bottle cap challenge, I know a couple people asked if we're doing bottle cap challenge. I have not received enough interest in it yet. So unless we get more people that send a message over saying they're in, we're probably not going to do it this year. But I remember when there was the legit bottle cap challenge back in the day, I always got Pepperdine. I don't know why, but I felt like I got like Pepperdine every single time. They're going up against St. Mary's. Yeah, I'll go St. Mary's to win that one. So when does like the Big East stats get going here? So, okay. All right. ACC starts up tomorrow. Wednesday is when everything else kind of really gets going in here. Yeah, there we go. Big Ten games and all that. Oh, yeah. Thursday, then we really get into it. Big East and that. Yep. So, all right. Those are your Packers prediction. All right, Packers prediction. Will they make a signing today? I predict. Well, first of all, let's ask. No, I can't. We packed up the Magic 8 Ball and get ready to move over to our other studio. So I can't ask the Magic 8 Ball. I think they do. I think Green Bay reportedly signs somebody because it can't be official till Wednesday. I think it'll be reported that Green Bay signs somebody. I will go. You know what? It's bold prediction, so who cares? I say they signed Dio from the Colts. I'm going to go with Dio from the Colts. That they're going to sign him. That's my bold prediction. And part of me, it's kind of wishful thinking that they are some players here. So we've got some exciting stuff to talk about tomorrow morning. So, all right, those are your picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. I'll be curious to see when Green Bay does trade Jair. Is it going to be anytime soon? Like at this point, maybe I shouldn't say when they trade Jair. They may not be able to trade Jair. They may have to release him because I think it's at this point now where, I mean, if you get like a 6th-round pick for him, you probably take it. Yeah, I mean, some people are like, well, he's worth more than that. He probably is worth more than that talent-wise, but I mean, you factor in contract and you factor in it's already been out there that Green Bay's not going to have him back or he's not going to be back and such. So, I mean, that's part of the negotiation such. You play a little hardball. Now, it only takes one team. They may send over a 7th-round pick or a 6th-round pick, but if you get that offer, you probably take it at this point in time. But the longer this thing's going, it sure seems like it's probably going to be maybe a cut. But I don't think Green Bay is going to trade any picks for players right now. I don't see it. I think Goody wants more picks. Not to get into whole draft talk here because we got time for that and it's free agency. But if you were to ask me right now, I almost feel like Green Bay is going to trade their 1st-round pick, maybe move a little bit further back and collect some more picks. I feel like that's where it's trending. Because what? They only got 7 or 8? I think he wants to get double digit. I think Goody wants to get up into the double digits. Could be wrong. That's just I'm going with my gut on this one. Could be completely off on that. So, but I don't think we're going to find out with Green Bay trading any picks for players today or this week or in the next couple of days. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. But I'm like a lot of you fans. I'm expecting, I'm hoping that we see some stuff, some signings being reported in that. And is Twitter down right now? I think X Twitter is down. I don't know if that means it's crashed because stuff's happening right now. Better figure it out though before we open up the legal negotiation period in 2 hours. Just saying, better figure this stuff out, guys. But I got a feeling, not to quote the Black Eyed Peas, I've got a feeling though, if Green Bay doesn't do anything today, or at least is not reported today, we're going to have a lot of upset Packers fans that they didn't do anything, especially when you start to see some names coming off the big board, some of the big names coming off the big board, and especially if you see some of these NFC teams, specifically in the NFC North, making moves. If we see the Vikings adding players, if we see the Bears adding players, Detroit and Green Bay kind of stands pat, you're going to see a lot of people kind of coming out of the woodwork and saying, typical Green Bay. It's not really typical Green Bay anymore, though. Remember, it was just last year. First day, right? Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs. I didn't think they were going to flip and sign Xavier McKinney last year. I thought it was going to be too much. And lo and behold, they did. They signed him, which surprised the hell out of me. And I think the big one was get Josh Jacobs. So we can't necessarily say same old Green Bay all the time when they just last year, when they didn't have as much cap space as they do this year, went out and signed highest price safety at a top 5 running back. So I'm fully expecting Green Bay to do something. If it doesn't happen today, if we don't get a report that Green Bay has agreed to terms with somebody today, don't panic. Okay, this is my plea to all of you. Don't panic after one day. I'll probably be like you for a hot minute. I'll be a little disappointed when I keep checking online and not seeing somebody, but let's try to keep the emotions in check. It's only one day. Okay, don't panic too much. And let's see how it all plays out. Okay? Let's see how it all plays out. But it should be an exciting day regardless if you're just an NFL fan. All right, tomorrow, hopefully, maybe, possibly, we'll be talking about some Packers signings or at least some signings across the NFL. So we'll hit that up. Tomorrow it is also a Grind My Gears Tuesday, so I guess it works out perfectly if Green Bay doesn't have any signings today. That might be a Grind My Gears for a lot of Packers fans. Who knows? But think about that for a little bit. If you got something that's grinding your gears, let me know tomorrow. We'll talk some Badgers with RJ Cardinal coming up tomorrow as well. Badger basketball, women's basketball is going to be looking for a new head coach. Hockey men's team got outed by Ohio State, so it's the first time in Mike Hastings' career he's got a losing season. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Badgers leading into the conference tournament for men's basketball, women's hockey, all things Badgers with Mr. RJ tomorrow. We'll hit that up. We're getting closer to opening day for the Brewers. Brewers are starting to kind of make some adjustments to their roster, sending guys down to AAA and such as we get closer to opening day. The other day, still no news on who's going to be the everyday starting shortstop. Still a little TBD. Don't know if that makes you, don't know how your feelings are on that, Brewers fans, but we'll talk some Brewers as we kind of start to get closer to wrapping up spring training and getting to the actual games and that. But we'll talk some baseball at it tomorrow too, but might be a lot of football depending on what the Packers do or don't do today. And yeah, it looks like the X, Twitter, whatever is down. Ooh, not good. All right, enjoy your day. Again, Packers fans, if they don't do anything today, if it's not reported, don't get too upset don't get too down. Okay. It's going to be okay. Don't throw things at the wall. Don't get too sad. DP, Dan, it's up next. Have a good Monday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning.